I'm back. I wanted to talk to you about some of the cozy mystery series that I read. The definition of a cozy mystery is probably a shorter, they're usually about this size. That's about right. Most of them will come in paperbacks. What makes them cozy is that it is a mystery, but there's no blood, no gore. They are lighter. There's a lot more humor. There's usually romance. That's what makes it more of a cozy mystery series as opposed to something like a John Grisham or a Stephen King where it is definitely more serious, usually has horrific fiction in there, or the description of a crime scene is a little more like, ugh. Okay, so these cozy mysteries, I've been reading these for decades. Some of these series go on for decades. It is not unusual for a cozy mystery series to have 20 or more in a series. I definitely have some, and I'm not doing them today. I'll pull them in later, but I definitely have some cozy mysteries where there was probably just one standalone, or I read one and it was okay, but not something that I thought that I would want to continue reading. And then there are those series that I was introduced to somewhere in the middle of the series, and then I went back and started from the beginning and listened to all of them. Or I probably did 2, 3, 4, 5, and then was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go back and listen to the whole series. All right, so let's get started on those. So my earliest cozy mystery series was probably Lilian Jackson Braun, the Cat Who series. Sometimes I, in my own books, will write the number of the series in here, but I didn't on here, but you can see, like, it does have a list of the series, and there's a ton of them. And I started listening to these when I was working in Kentucky, and I had like a 45-minute commute, and back then, they were cassette tapes, and I had to rent them from the local Cracker Barrel. I had a subscription service basically with them where you had to pay for the book, the audio book, and then you would keep it for a week or 2 weeks, and when you brought it back, they would keep a small deposit, like $5 or something, and then refund the rest of the money back to you, and then I would get 2 or 3 more, and then I listened to a ton of books the 2 years that I was working in rural Kentucky, driving back and forth 45 minutes a day. Well, 45 minutes each way a day. I love this series because the main character is Jim Quillerin. He has 2 Siamese cats, and the cats are as much a part of the story as he is. But you get to know, most of these cozy mystery series are like this too. There's a town, either a small town or a bigger town, but usually it's a smaller town. Again, it's usually rural somewhere. These take place in the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it becomes as much a part of the story as the characters. You get to know, the postmistress and the librarian and the local coffee shop and the person who runs the diner. You get to know all of these people, and they dip in and out of the series. So usually if you go the whole length of a series, somewhere one of these people will be the middle of one of these murder mysteries. And it is kind of like Murder, She Wrote, Jessica Fletcher. I would be a little worried to be Jim Quillerin's friend because someone's always going to die. And he usually knows them and knows them well. Definitely some love interest in here. Jim Quillerin is a single man. He's a single bachelor. He has inherited quite a bit of money, so he's a benefactor in the town. Which does also give him a lot of friends. And then there is a love interest in his life, Polly Duncan, who is the local librarian. So I love these. They, I think this one, The Cat Who Had 60 Whiskers, he travels internationally, if I'm not mistaken. But on most of these series, I'm not going to talk to you about each one of them. I'm just going to tell you it's a series. I love listening to this series. I love reading this series. And it is another one that wherever I started in the middle of the series, I eventually was like, halt, go back, start with number 1, and let the story build. You don't have to do it that way, but if you really enjoy the series, I think that there is definitely a reason to do that. Then you get to see how the characters grow, how they meet, how they get together, who's coming in, who's going out, the backstory. I really, really love this series. And Lilian Jackson Braun did pass away. The series did halt before she passed away, but I don't have it here. It's probably still packed, so I'll have to find it for you. But I actually have a reference book to this series that's probably like that wide, and it's like, here are all the characters, here are all the settings, here's each book and who gets murdered and how it happens. I really enjoy that series, and it's a fun one to listen to. It's very, very relaxing. it is one that you could get easily from the public libraries, the audiobooks from the Libby app, and listen to it that way. Another series that I picked up at the Books by the Banks Festival here in Cincinnati. It's a free book festival. I know I've said this a dozen times, but I really wish more people would take advantage of that book festival. It's free. The authors come in. The author to this, Alec Erickson, he has been there the last probably 5 years that I've been there. And this is the Bookstore Cafe mystery, Death by Pumpkin Spice. I pick it up every time I'm there. I pick up the new installment. I've read all of these. It takes place in a bookstore cafe. Chrissy Hancock is the owner of the cafe. And again, she seems to know a lot of people who get murdered. But I enjoy this series. Some of them are seasonal, which I do also like. There's Death by Coffee, Death by Tea, Death by Pumpkin Spice, Death by Vanilla Latte. I pick them up. I enjoy them. I usually read the paperbacks of these. I don't do audios if there is an audio on these, but I've enjoyed these. They're fun. Another series that I just finished, number, I believe, 7 in the series, is this. Dun, 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 dun. I love them. On What Grounds, I believe, is the first one even. Yep, this is first in A Coffee House Mystery. It is by Cleo Coyle. She has a great online presence too, so I would highly recommend taking a look at that. There we go, Holiday Buzzed, Espresso Shot. You can see the theme here. It takes place at a coffee shop. Murder Most Frothy. There you go. So I like those. I usually have the paperback copy of those books, but I also listen to those on audio, and that's what I just did with French Pressed. I believe it's number 7-ish in the series, but I just finished that one on audio, so they're fun to listen to. I was looking to see if maybe one of these gave you the rundown. I'm not seeing it, but like I said, if you Google her series, she does a good job of having an online presence. There you go. You can see some of those are in there. She has a nice online presence. She also gives you some recipes. Like this one, you can see at the top, it says includes holiday and cookie recipes. I've enjoyed these coffee making tips. They're fun. It's a coffee house mystery. I don't think I've mentioned so far, but another good way to keep track of the books that you're reading is Goodreads. I should probably do a whole video just on Goodreads. I started on Shelfari, a couple decades ago, and then it morphed into Goodreads, and I really enjoy how Goodreads is set up. It's a good way to keep track of the books that you've read, especially when you read series. I know my sister loves these books too, and we have to think about whether or not we've already read it, or if we're there, especially because, like I said, I read some in the middle of the series, and I'm like, okay, halt, let's go back, start with number 1, and then go through the whole series. So those are fun. We are now coming to my favorite cozy mystery author. She has definitely won me over. I enjoy getting her books, and I get most of her books ahead of time, and I get to review those for her. I'm part of Kate's readers, and each time she gets a new book out, she'll send it to us, and we get to read it and review it on 3 or 4 sites. So I will put that out there. I do receive free books from her, but she's definitely won me over. She has several series, and I enjoy all of her series. You have seen her on Hallmark. Her movies have gotten purchased and are now becoming Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. So this is called the Fixer Upper Mystery. Jewel is the main character on the Hallmark Movies and Mystery series for her. Here are 2. You have Shot Through the Hearth and A Wrench in the Works. I love the plays on words. It's perfect. You will notice a lot of cozy mystery writers do that, and I'm a sucker. I can't help it. If it has something to do with books, something to do with coffee, and it's a cozy mystery, I'm going to read it. That's how it is. They are cozy for a reason. I do have an English degree. I'm a librarian. I read high literature. I read classics, but I love cozy mysteries too. There is a time and a place. I really believe that reading is like having a healthy diet. You definitely should be eating your spinach, but you also should be eating that birthday cake that Mr. Levin made for me. This is the adult video, so I don't need to call him Mr. Levin. That John made for me, the raspberry layer cake. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw a picture of that yesterday. It is hands down the best dessert you will ever eat in your life. It does take him at least a day, sometimes a day and a half to make that stinking cake. But I'm telling you, I mean, I will sit here and eat it, and the whole time I'm eating it, I'm just like, this is so good. I just can't believe how good this is. This is amazing. That was a sidebar. I'm not really sure how I got into the talk of the cake, probably because I'm still dreaming about it, because it'll probably be another 6 months or a year before I get that cake again. But it's amazing. It's amazing. But these are great. This is the Fixer Upper series. So the main character is Shannon Hammer, played by Jewel on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. She runs a, what do you call that? Like a renovation company in up in New England. I don't know if they ever actually tell you. It's Lighthouse Cove, and it's up in New England, but I'm not sure if they ever actually tell you what state that they're in. Anywho, Shannon is usually working on rehabbing these houses. She's very good. She's very popular in her town for being able to do that. But somehow, some way, there's always someone getting murdered around these houses. And Shannon is always right in the thick of it. Even though she is a construction worker, a rehabber, she is always in the middle of these. And of course, her love interest writes mystery novels, and he usually is in the middle of it too. So those are really fun. And then the other series by her that I love is this. It's the Bibliophile mystery series. You can see it up here. This is a cookbook conspiracy, peril in paperback, murder undercover, the book Supremacy, Once Upon a Spine, and the book stops here. I love the books. I love the cat. I love the cozy chair. I love everything about these books. There's tea in this one, which I love. This one is in the bookshop, right? So I just love these, and you can get them either way. You know, when the books first come out, I usually end up with the hardback. That's what she usually mails for us. And then I was a little bit later to the game, so I went back and then purchased the paperback books, and they're that just standard size. I love these. I love these. It is published by Penguin, I believe, Obsidian, Penguin, depending on if it's the hardback or the paperback. But the books are all about the same size. You're going to run about 300, 320 pages, which is a good size for a cozy mystery. Brooklyn Wainwright is the main character in this particular series, and she is a book restorer. So if you have an old book, if you have an antique book, or you have a rare book, and it needs a little bit of repair, that's what Brooklyn Wainwright does. And amazingly enough, poor Brooklyn seems to know a lot of people who get married too, or get murdered too. Not married, different thing. But I, again, love this series. Here's a list of some of the books so you can see. But I, again, would recommend starting with the first book in the series because it does build on each other. You can definitely pick it up anywhere. Most of these cozy series, you could pick up any book that is available and listen or read and be able to pick up on the storyline. It's not like it's super complicated. But if you are starting it now, I would suggest that you go back and do the first one because they do seem to build on one another. I'm trying to think. There is a series that, and I don't seem to have it here. Maybe I've not unpacked it yet and I can't think of the particular... I can't think of the name of it, but oh, I think it's the Dog Park series, the Dog Park Murder series. I can't think of her name right now, but she's at Books by the Banks. But I know that whenever I visited her table and talked to her the first time and I started to pick up a book, she was like, don't start at the first one. I wasn't very good at the very first one. Wait, I'm going to rewrite those. Start with like my newest one and then come back and do the ones when I go back and rewrite them. So I've never had an author tell me that before, and I thought that was super interesting, but probably true. Like when you start your hand at writing, you're probably not as confident. They're probably not as good, and then you just get better as time goes, obviously. But she's the only author who told me don't start with my first book. Start with my newest one and then go back. And I can't think of her name, but I'm sure that I'll be unpacking her books and book talking them later, and then I'll talk about it again. But I highly recommend Kate Carlisle. I like that they're the Cozy Mystery series. I like that there's always a lot of humor in there. Brooklyn is quite a character. She's just a lovable character. You would enjoy her. You would enjoy being her friend. She, again, has a family that lives in a commune up in, I believe, like like Northern California, so you get to meet them. Some of the murders, of course, take place at the commune. Like, why wouldn't it, right? I believe that they have a vineyard up there that they run, like the whole commune runs. So I like the people that surround her. I like that she's a book restorer. So a lot of times you will get a lot of background information about a book that Brooklyn is working on. And again, I like that book information, so that's always cool. I enjoy hearing how she repairs a book. I think that that's fun. And Kate Carlisle definitely takes the time to get in there, do her research, and make sure that whatever she's telling you is very accurate in how someone does their craft. So I really enjoy that. So there's some cozy mysteries that I would highly recommend. Those are all series. I will be recommending some more cozy mysteries later that I've only read maybe one or two in the series, or they're standalones. But I'm going to definitely start out with those series because those are my favorites, and that's what I have unpacked right now. I do keep referring to the fact that I'm getting them unpacked. Remember that I had a soot issue back in was it last summer, I think, and then it didn't end until like December, which was terrible. But they did have to pack out all of my books and clean them, and they came back, and of course they're not in order. They're in boxes. I've unpacked some. But I have definitely not gotten to all of them, and I probably have a good 5,000 books once they all came back. It's been quite a tour to get them back in order because I'm a librarian, so they don't get to just stick on the shelf. They have to be in order, and so that's how I'm reviewing them to you, is as I come to them and I'm getting those out of the boxes and on the shelves, then that's how I'm reviewing them to you. So again, let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you like. Let me know if you need recommendations. I'm happy to be your librarian, give you some recommendations. I know I got lots of feedback on the videos before, and I really appreciate that. I enjoy it. I think this is very therapeutic, being able to talk about something that I love, something that I think is important, something that I hope is giving comfort to people during this really super trying time. So again, I enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Maybe you have some cozy mystery series that I haven't mentioned here that maybe I haven't read or listened to. It's definitely a good one to always have an audio book on your phone or on some kind of app that you always have with you. But my phone obviously is always with me, so it's a good way. I always have something that I'm listening to, and I might have something a little heavier that I'm listening to, and then something like a cozy mystery is always on there. So that if I know that I'm driving and I can't really pay attention, but I definitely want something other than just talk radio or music, that I can listen to that. Or when I'm cleaning the house, or when I'm crafting and I know my full attention isn't on the book, but I can dip in and out of it, that's when cozy mysteries are super good. So again, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.